One thing that we're constantly doing when we're practicing FRC principles, whether it be your CARS routine that you do every day, whether it's your pails and rails that you use for training, anytime we're doing these things, we want to create tension throughout the body, otherwise known as irradiation. So sometimes in class or when I'm coaching you, I might say tension, 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 or irradiate. And what I mean by that is making the tension come throughout the body, so it comes from your toes to your ears. This comes from a standpoint called the Sherrington's law of irradiation, which says that if I'm trying to work my bicep and I squeeze my other hand, it actually helps my nervous system put more energy and effort into the area that I'm trying to create force, which force is the language of cells, and that is what is going to, over time, make your tissues adapt and give you more range of motion. So the one way we can do this is we can just practice ramping our tension up and then relaxing as well. Okay? And we'll do this from 3 different positions. So the first one that we're going to do is we're just going to go from a standing position, just kind of, you can bring your legs together, stand nice and tall, okay? And the first thing we're going to do is we want to think about crunching the feet into the floor, okay? So just lightly for now. Now what I want you to think about is pushing your toes into the floor. That's going to turn on the calf muscles. You're going to next go to your quads and just straighten the legs and really try and flex the quads. Okay? Next, go ahead and squeeze your bum. And then here is very, very important, and it's a skill on its own. We want to take a big breath in, and as we exhale, think about pushing that air to our belt line right here. And then when you feel that is nice and stabilized in concert with everything else, now you've got a really good protected core, and you're teaching how to push tension into the lower abdominals, which is 100% key for anything regarding stabilizing the hips, the low back, and the core is the center of everything. So all your joints will get stronger by learning just how to do that. So we've got everything even here now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take those hands, we'll make fists, okay? And we're going to pull the hands in. So you're thinking, if I was trying to pull your arm away, you wouldn't want me to. Squeeze the shoulders together and pack them down. And then the head is going to come backwards here. Okay? The only thing we don't tension is the jaw. So I don't want you biting your teeth together or tensioning your jaw. We just want to leave that relaxed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to practice ramping from 0 to 100. Okay? So as I count to 10, think of it as increments of 10%. So if I say 0%, 1 is 10%, 20, 30, you got it. Practice ramping your nervous system up, creating a stress response, and then when we get to 100, you're going to be working as hard as possible. I should be seeing sweat standing in one position is very common. And then I want you to use your parasympathetic nervous system to practice unwinding that tension. So we need to be able to ramp up, but it's very good, even just as a stress reduction technique, to be able to go from 100% intensity all the way to 90 to 80 to 70, all the way down to 0. So let's give that a shot. Toes into the floor, straighten the legs, squeeze the bum, pack the air down here, pull the hands together, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and tuck the chin back, leave the jaw relaxed, and we're just going to start 0, 10%, 20%, feeling how it's getting harder each time, 30, 40, 50%. Now we go to work, 60, 70, maybe little short exhales here, 80, 90, make sure the chin stays back, 100, hold it as hard as you can, trying to become a rock solid statue for 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, now unwind slowly, 90%, 80%, 70%, 60%, 50%, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 0. That in itself is a great exercise for anybody trying to increase body awareness. If you have trouble knowing where your limbs are when you're doing your CARS, this is a great starting point. Don't underestimate the power of this exercise. It looks simple, but can be very, very effective for some people. What we have here is we got a yoga block to help us create tension in our thighs. And then we're going to use the Swiss ball here to help us create tension through our upper back and in our arms. Okay, so we put the yoga block, we're going to set it up so we've got nice spot of tension. Just make sure you don't put it on the bony parts of your knees, make sure you put it on the meatier parts of your thigh. That'll really help. I'm going to show you from the side this time. And now here we're going to squeeze the ball like this, noticing that the spine has two curves to it. Okay, low back curve and upper back curve. We don't want this spine to be in a straight line. We actually want the natural curvature. So squeezing the block together with your thighs, pushing your feet into the floor to turn on your calves, and squeezing your bum, straightening your legs, and now turning on your low back muscles. Now start to squeeze the ball. You want to reach far around, squeeze the ball, and push the head back. And again, we're going to build up. 1, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60, 70, little exhales to get more, 80, cores engaged, 90, 100, hold, and relax, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 0. Okay. So it's a little bit more of an advanced standing posture, especially with a focus on here. If a person, you have bow legs, this would be an excellent modality to increase strength in the adductors and help realign those knees. Okay. Next, we're going to go from a seated position, and this will be the last one we do. So the way we set up with the seated position, I recommend people taking a wide leg stance. Reason for this is because now we can start to put pressure or tension on the outer sides of the hips, which act as a knee stabilizer and also a really good tool to help us hinge properly so we can deadlift more efficiently, pick things up off the floor, and just move from our hips rather than moving through our low backs. So same kind of deal. We want to slide our feet in a wee bit and point the toes out. What you're looking for is that the knees are tracking over the toes, the second and the third toe. So if your toes pointed in and the knees going, it's not in a line, you just want to make sure that you fix that up. Okay. How wide you can take your knees is going to depend on the mobility of your hips, health of your knees, etc. So it's different for everybody. Now, again, going back to this curvature of the spine, we want a nice curve through the low back. So we're practicing sitting on the fronts of our sit bones on the edge of our chair, feeling the weight moving forward, and that's going to give us our low back curve. And then to get our upper back curve, or our thoracic curve, we're just going to reach around with this ball. Now, the way we irradiate here is pretty well the same. So last one we drove the knees in. This one we're going to pull them out. So we're tucking the toes, okay? We're pushing the heels into the floor. That'll activate their hamstrings. We're pulling the knees outwards away from one another. And we're taking a big breath in. Exhales, we pack that air down to below our belt. Pulling the belly button in, feeling those low abs get really active. Reaching the shoulders forward and squeezing the ball, and the head goes back. Okay? Now, we got two options. One is just to sit here the whole time and build up your tension. I'm going to show you a more advanced option. I recommend starting just sitting. If you want to progress to this one, that's cool. Big breath in, create tension, and hold. 10%, 20%, 30%, 40, squeezing the ball, 50, 60, 70 to create more tension. I'm going to stand up, but you can keep sitting. 70, 80, 90, 100, holding, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to unwind. 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, and 10. Perfect. So that exercise there, because we're pulling the knees apart, is great for the person who kind of presents this valgus posture. Whereas, like I said before, the one where we're squeezing the block together might be better with someone that has a bow-legged stance. But there's many different reasons why we would use these positions. The only way to really know is your assessment. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, don't underestimate the power of that. Just doing that a few times through the week can really teach you how to irradiate properly, where your missing links are for places where you can't put tension, and really trying to drive home those patterns, because then when we go into our cars, our pails and rails, we have a whole new level of sensory awareness, and we can make those gains a lot more efficiently, effectively, and help our nervous system remember it for longer. Enjoy your day, and happy irradiating.